I found an old rotary aircraft manufactured in 1946, refitted in 1952 with a higher power motor.
Probably pretty good.
36 grand. For $36,000, we can afford a few mishaps learning how to fly. I think we can land it out here on the fucking. I think we can land it out here on the road.
Probably good.
And then just push it into the compound. And then at night we'll sneak out onto the road and just learn how to fly.
The FAA would be real happy about that.
They won't. We don't have any control towers here. They won't even know it's up.
Yeah. I don't think you need any licenses to get an ultralight or something like that. A little gyrocopter.
A gyrocopter, I think you do.
You do?
You can do a power parachute.
They're only
That
like
is
It's called what's it called a roto wing.
Yeah. Aero motor.
There's video like you can order one for about $5,000. You can have a motor and a wing and everything show up
Yeah, you can get a kit.
online. And there's video of dudes going out there learning how to fly that shit. But when you put that bitch together wrong, your risers or your throttle deal gets stuck, or another one is dudes have that netting on the back wrong, and they'll be fucking around. You'll cut some fingers off. But this dude crashed like 2 or 3 times. Like one of them was a pretty bad crash. His wife's out there filming and shit, learning how. You can get it up. There's a lot of shit that can happen.
That's the easy part.
You know, I imagine for a pretty experienced pilot, like, I mean, you're flying low altitude, low speed, you're subject to a lot of factors that can lawn dart you into the ground in front of your family.
I mean, just think how hard you hit just jumping out of an airplane just with a parachute.
It's better now. It's better now.
18 miles an hour when you hit the ground. And that sucks.
Is that what your problem is?
What?
Jumping out of an airplane?
Some of your damage from that?
Maybe not. I got a concussion in jump school.
Dillard's. A lot of Dillard's
But
damage.
that wasn't from the airplane. That was from the swing landing training.
A lot of John's damage was those T10s.
Yeah, T10s.
The little round shoots.
T10s.
Yeah.
You just fucking, you can't, there's nothing you can do about it. You're going 18 miles an hour when you hit the ground.
So you want to land on your feet?
Yeah, going, yeah. Slide left there, Bart. Well,
Slide
yeah,
left
that's
there,
it. You're supposed to, feet
As
knees
soon as you
together.
touch, you're supposed to.
Your legs are supposed to be bent like this, and then you use the fall to, you're supposed to roll down your side. That ain't never how it works.
I was going to say, I
Never
can't
how- well,
imagine.
it's never how it works.
There's a lot of video of dudes being
for you-
drugged fucking 100
Yeah.
feet.
For you, it would probably work. Like, for you, I bet you would be like, oh, this ain't shit. For you, just because of your size, your size, I think you'd come in pretty easy. But, 200 pounds and a fucking backpack and a fucking 2x4 strapped to your side, you're just hitting like a piece of shit.
I'm gonna jump with stilts. That's how I'm landing.
Good call. You could do it on the fucking, with a square. You could fucking do it with a square. I'd practice that a couple of times on the ground first, but you could do it with a square.
Parachuting is just something I never was like, I really want to do this. Like, I've never felt the need to jump out of a good airplane.
Here's the thing. If you want to parachute, if you're that person, like I was in high school, so I went to what was that place down on the Brown Field, and jumped out of a plane at Brown Field before I joined the military. If you want to jump out of an airplane, that's how you need to do it. Do not join the military going, it's going to be really cool to jump out of an airplane. Because there's nothing that the military does. They could, and they do it now. They could give you a dune buggy and suck the fun right out of it. If the military went to Disneyland, they would suck the fun out of Disneyland. You'd be like, fuck this place, I do not want to go to Disneyland. The military just sucks the fun out of whatever it is they're doing.
Well, because they turn it into a job.
It's not just the job part, it's just, the reality is, if you've got 10 guys that you're like 10 of your friends and you want to go jump out of an airplane, you can turn that into a fun event because it's 10 of your friends. But when you've got 350 people, and they're all cramming onto the same airplane, and you're worried about, not just you, but the jump masters, they're worried about fucking equipment failure, troop failure, all kinds of bullshit. Then you're going to have all these rules, and all these rules make it
no fun.
Very not fun. Hence the reason why Navy SEALs can't go to jump school anymore. They were having too much fun. That's 100% true. They would have too much fun.
Stealing everybody's goddamn shit.
Too much fun. Open up reserve parachutes and aircrafts.
Oops.
It's no big deal if you're number 1 or number 2, but if you're number 30, there's a whole bunch of people that are now running at the door.
As shitty as jump school has the ability to be, there is a school that is much gayer and much worse, which is air assault school, which is even more pointless because to do a static line jump, you need to have done it before. Like you need to understand.
Oh yeah, if you're at air assault school and you don't have jump wings, you just walk to all the events, don't you? That's kind of like I saw. I had 2 good friends, two of my good friends, Travis Mitchell and Chris Hayes, that went to Ranger School. They got quotas to go to Ranger School, and they go to Ranger School. And there, at that time, I don't know if they still do it, but there was a phase where they would jump in. So there was one phase where you jumped into the thing, and then it was supposed to be this combat jump and all this bullshit.
Well, that was a prerequisite for Ranger for a while. Was that you had to be airborne qualified to go? And I think it's
not that anymore. But so they went, and they didn't have jump. They weren't jumpers, so they got to ride they drive them out in trucks. All the fucking legs get driven out in the trucks while these guys jump, and I'm like, it sounds cool, but the reality is you'd rather be in the trucks.
Right about that.
Yeah, you'd rather be in the trucks. You'd rather be sleeping in the truck than on the fucking plane because you're first off, you're already at Ranger School, and there's nothing about, once again, sucking all the fun out of everything. There's nothing about Ranger School that you go, man, that was a good time.
That's awesome.
That was awesome. It's a great experience for people to go through Ranger School, but they suck all the fun out of it. So you'd much rather be on the trucks getting that, whatever it is, 15, 20 minutes of fucking sleep time than being on that plane, going through fucking JMPI and doing all the shit you have to do to fucking jump out. Because I am sure, I'd have to ask Chris, because I don't remember if he said this or not, but I am sure they did that total combat equipment, which, man, once you start doing things combat equipment, it is a fucking nightmare. It's just a nightmare.
Well, that was like the whole beef with the old metal frame for the Alice pack was that for guys in the 82nd Airborne, they would go through them like Kleenex because they dropped their ruck and it would just shatter. So everybody had a fucking shattered frame on the drop zone. And then finally, the Army got a plastic one. But guys would have to go to REI and shit and get like a plastic aftermarket frame. And then they would get a bunch of shit because they were like, oh, you're not using the regulation.
Like they really do in jump school, they strap a 2x4 to you. Simulate a rifle. Well, they strap a 2x4 to you. Which, remember what I told you, right? You gotta bend the knees.
Yep.
You gotta follow the side. Well, if that's the direction to travel in and you have a 2x4 there, you're trying to do a PLF on a fucking man-made splint, right? So while I'm at school, I'm like, one of my black hats, there's a reason why I got the concussion while I was there, because this motherfucker knew my best friend in high school. But he's coming by and I'm like, I go, this is bullshit. You wouldn't do that if you had a fucking, an M60 or a 240 Gold, if you had a crew serve weapon. What do the crew serve weapons guys do? And he's like, oh, if you have a crew serve weapon, you can just untie it, and it goes, so you have a tether between you and your rucksack. Yeah. When you're at a certain altitude, you drop your fucking rucksack, it goes down to the end of the tether, so you don't ride your rucksack in.
Or they jump that separately, it'll be in a bag with its own chute, and then you just go find it afterwards.
So this thing is on your side, and he's like, oh no, if you have a crew serve, you just release it, and it slides down the rope to your rucksack, right? And so, like, I did one jump with that 2x4, and then after that, every other jump, I'm like, let it go, and the fucking, the black hats on the DZ would be, what the fuck are you doing? And, the good news is, because I'm a Marine, there's nothing they can, there's like, they kind of like, they want to yell at you, but they don't really know if they can yell at you. And so, I'm like, as soon as you get down to the drop zone, they're like, and I would always say the same thing. I always go, dude, I carry a fucking crew serve weapon. This isn't. I go. This is. I'm not in the army, man. That we carry crew serve weapons, and then they would be like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
Piece of shit.
What are you
Don't
doing,
ever do
airborne?
that again.
What are you doing,
You know,
airborne?
yeah.
What are you doing, airborne?
Let that thing go. Fucking. It's pretty cool. Dangerous though. Dangerous.
Somebody else fucking collide with you, or
Yeah, because
Some
people will
other
collide.
fucking
I mean, when
shit,
it is.
Oh,
It is so awesome. Like, the Marine Corps does some cool shit, but when the Army does institutional shit, like when they get all the ducks in a row, it's fucking awesome. Like it's awesome. Like when you have a whole battalion jumping out of an airplane and you fill the sky with parachutes, it's fucking.
pretty cool.
It's the coolest thing you will ever see. And as dumb as it is, it's still very cool. I'm sure everybody in the Army is like, this is the dumbest thing ever. I don't know why they did that in the Army. But we did a regimental run while I was at basic school. So they got the entire fucking training regiment out there. That means every motherfucker in Ranger School, every motherfucker in Jump School, all the command. We're going to go on a 10-mile run with the entire regiment. So they get everybody out there. Everybody, every fucking swinging dick. And then they just start going. One column at a time. The beginning of the beginning element finishes before the last part takes off to go run.
what the fuck?
Yeah, that's how big. That's how
What
big
the
this fucking
fuck?
thing is, right?
10 miles?
Yeah, the beginning element is already coming back in to finish.
Yeah, right,
While you're like, going to run. But it's just awesome when they fucking get that mass of people out there and they do
especially
that shit.
especially at Benning, which is big army. Like that's big army if there ever is big army, and like everything, you just get used to everything taking a super long time. Especially at a place like Fort Benning because there's so many fucking people.
And you would never see a Marine Corps regiment in formation. Never. Because they're always gone. Somebody's always gone, right?
Yeah.
A battalion's always gone. So even when they do like a regimental change of command, there'll be 2 battalions out there, and that's usually 29 Palms because they can 29 Palms. They got all their Marines like close.
Yep.
But it's usually like 2 battalions that'll be out there fucking doing the regimental change of command. It's very rare that you see, especially in the Marine Corps. It's very rare that you see anything bigger than the battalion.
Yeah.
Like when we go on Muse, it's a battalion. It's bigger than a battalion, but it's just like a reinforced battalion. And I think I only maybe in all those years one formation with the Mew. But even the Mew, when the Mew leaves, it's bigger than the battalion. But everybody's on individual ships. Individual ships come in at individual times. So the Death Star, which is usually the helicopter carrier, that'll have the most people on it. But that's still only who's on there? H&S Company. Your support element is on there. The Helo Company's on there. And then usually there'd be like Battalion Recon. But that's nothing. That's not, That's why I said the scariest thing that ever happened to me while I was in the Marine Corps was when the Army Brigade came and almost ran us over. Because it was
A wave.
the numbers. I couldn't even, when you looked at the horizon, it was like,
Yeah, whole brigade combat team
Holy
together,
shit.
so a lot of people, a lot of stuff.
because we were there. They sent us to the border, and our only job was to get on the radio and go, Saddam's coming,
They're coming.
right? And when they sent us out there, as Marines, you're like, fuck yeah, we're gonna shoot our 203s at them. We're gonna fuck them up when they come. And then an armored brigade, a real armored brigade comes,
Shit.
and we don't. You're standing there like, where's this coming from? Because the ground starts shaking, and you don't know where it's coming from. And then you see the horizon. You just see the dirt, and you're like, man, I really hope that is not Iraqi tanks. I really hope it's not Iraqi tanks because we are literally on the border with a Humvee and 16 guys. the biggest weapon we had was the 203 grenade launcher, right? What are we gonna fucking do? What are we gonna do?
They didn't even give you a tow or
and
something, like a tow truck.
because the so what happened was this was after the war. So this was after the first Gulf War. I think it was 2 years after. It was either maybe 2 or 3 years after. So we're doing a regular Westpac, and Saddam moves a bunch of troops to the border. Well, the army after the war left a division's worth of M1 Abrams in Kuwait. So they, created this fucking forward deployment base, taped them all up closed, and left these M1 Abrams in Kuwait. And so the thought was that Saddam was going to haul ass to that ASP and get those vehicles, and then use those vehicles. Mm-hmm. So the 1-9, we were the only ones that were in the area. We were the only ones in the immediate area. So they're like, "This is it. We're going to war. Ah! This is what we're doing." And when the Mew goes out, they go with 4 tanks. That's all we take. Is 4 fucking M1 Abrams. That's it. So they're like, "Snipers!" They give us the order, and they're like, "You're gonna go here." And then it's like Alpha, Charlie, and weapons all the way in the back. So there's like I want to say there was 5-mile buffer between each of the companies. When you think about it,
yeah,
the companies don't have any anti-armor capability except for SMAWs, and SMAWs are okay, but they're not really. That's not what you want to be shooting.
So that's interesting. So they would
tank.
keep the weapons company organic to itself, like that would stay.
At that point, yeah. But the idea was, right? We're on the border. Snipers are on the border. We would be like, "Hey man, they're coming," and then we'd get run over. And then Alpha Company would shoot and get run over. And then Bravo would shoot and get run over. Charlie would shoot and get run over. And while we're getting fucking decimated, those numbers are getting smaller and smaller. Plus, the minute the Iraqis hit those lines, they're going to have to deploy into combat formations, which slows them down. There's a reason for doing what they're doing. But you have all these line companies getting fucking run over.
Still sucks.
And then prior to them getting to the ASP, that's where all our heavy weapons, that's where the 4 tanks are, that's where the fucking, all the Humvees with the tow missiles and the Javelin, there weren't no Javelins back then, but the Dragons would be there waiting, and so whatever made it through would get hit by the hardest shit. But it's one of those things. Even when we went to the border, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was like, yeah, I'm going to use my bolt-action sniper rifle to shoot some Iraqis and shit. Right? You don't think about it, but man, I'm telling you, when that Army Brigade, when they came through, they're like, because we're stupid. We're on the border, there is just a berm. There's just this, it's probably 5-foot berm that separates the 2 countries. So we are right on the border. We park our Humvee. We set up a green cami net because we weren't going to Iraq, so we didn't have any desert shit. We set up a green cami net, and then on the top of that, we put a fucking American flag because we're dumb. Mm-hmm. And I think we were actually playing football. Like the sun was getting ready to go down, and we were actually playing football when the ground started shaking. You're like, the fuck? Something's coming. And then just they were coming parallel to the border. So like they could have gone through and were making a turn, so they were coming this way. And they're coming, and you're just like, there's literally nothing, like, you're so awestruck in the fact that it's like, even if we all had gotten online, so the 16 of us got online and fired everything we had as hard as we could, just fired it all. there's 100% chance that they wouldn't even know we were out there. Like, literally 100% chance that somebody would have been like, did you hear something? I didn't hear anything.
Keep going.
Yeah, 100% chance. So they come and you know, and I don't think anybody went to arms. Like, I think I want to say Issa grabbed his 203 and was standing there with the 203. But then they came.
So you might as well finish the football game.
Yeah, they came. And, well, no, everybody was kind of standing there going, I hope that's not the Iraqis. And a fucking command, 113 command vehicle pulls right up. It's like, pulls up. Dude gets out. And it's this fucking Army Sergeant Major, all fucking. I want to say it was. Who's 7th IDs? That's the guys out of Korea, right? With the Texas flag, or with the Indian with the star in the middle of it.
Second ID.
Second ID, maybe.
Yeah,
second
they're in
ID.
Korea and Fort Lewis, Washington.
Maybe second ID. The Sergeant Major comes out in all his glory, and he's like,
Yeah, they're mech infantry.
he goes, man, you guys are so lucky you had that flag up there. We were getting ready to light you up. Right now, it would have just been one guy. They would have been like,
Great.
hey, there's a target over there. It had just been one vehicle went, boom, and that would have been it. We'd have been fucking left in the desert. And then Alpha Company would have been like, it's the shit, light them up! And then we'd have had this big friend-on-friend thing going on. It would have been awesome.
Good time.
It would have been a good time. And the Charlie Company would have started firing. They wouldn't even seen any tanks. They'd just start firing.
Yep.
Bravo Company would have took off running, because those are boat guys, and they're usually in UDT shorts, so they don't have a lot of... So they'd have took off running across the desert. Half of Weapons Company's tell us what to fire. It would have been a mess. Hell, I don't even think we had an M1 Abrams at that time. I think we still had an M60 tanks.
I was listening to something. I think it was Spearco's like, we're not going to conform. All these social justice warriors and the hipsters and shit. We're not going to conform. We're not going to be part of your program. We're not going to be held under the man. Yet every one of them, you know exactly what they are when you see them, because they all look identical to each other. They have all fucking conformed into their own fucking.
Not only do they look identical, but you know exactly what they're going to say. You know, on any given thing, it's like a person from Central Casting, right? Like you've seen that character in a movie, and you know exactly how they'll respond to everything, which is eerie. You know what I mean? It takes all the fun out of meeting somebody, because you're like, oh, I know all your opinions, and I know everything you're going to say and everything that you do and stuff.
It's all false.
Yeah.
It's all easily disproved. That's why you want to deplatform people instead of debating them, because you know that you're going to get fucking home.
Yeah, who just came out and said, I guess Facebook and Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram said they're going to deplatform anybody that gives anybody evil a platform?
Evil a platform.
Let them go after Joe Rogan and see what happens. Or even skip Joe Rogan and go after Ben Shapiro. It's the #1 podcast in the United States right now. Or #2 podcast.
Well, that's what dudes were saying. I saw somebody like, how long till they deplatform Rogan? They're like, he had his audience before podcasting was a thing. Mm-hmm. But go ahead. They'll burn those motherfuckers. They will burn those buildings down. Mm-hmm. Man, I can't stop eating this. It's pretty good.
It says Alex Jones, Louis Farrakhan, and Milo Yiannopoulos got
Louis
kicked off
Farrakhan.
Facebook. The social media giant kicked them and several other
I'm
Hope
surprised that they did it to Farrakhan.
I can't
Says
even.
they're dangerous. They're considered dangerous.
I guess I didn't realize Farrakhan was still alive.
Yeah, he's got to be pretty old.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's still kicking it. He's like...
Did
Al
MLK
Sharpton.
really put out a book called "The Jews Are Responsible" or something like that? Like it's the
Who?
Jews' fault. Martin Luther King Jr.
I don't know. Maybe.
No, I know Farrakhan did. That's his whole.
It is the
Well,
Jews' fault.
I mean, I just think it's funny. Like he's held on such a cloud of being like
So
Right.
for the people, it's
Right.
like, hey,
You put out a book called what?
I don't hear you denying it, Miss Palestine.
She didn't. She was laughing about it.
Well, Miss Palestine over there, getting ready to fucking. She's gonna get ready to start chopping down the trees out back.
Why?
Constructing crosses.
Oh, I got you. Like we just planted all the trees out there.
It'll be good for the next round. With all this rain.
That's crucifixion.
I don't know why that's even a. I don't even know why that's a like a. I mean, I guess it's a good story, but
The spear of
Crucif-
destiny.
crucifixion story. Spartacus is the best crucifixion story.
Spear of destiny. Wouldn't it just be a fucking sharpened broom handle? I mean,
No,
really, like
no. At that time,
because they
it would've been
gold encrusted it, or it was an actual guards.
yeah, at that time, it would have been a real. It would have been a real spear, but it would have been a real spear that we would have issued to Bill.
yeah, it would have been just
So it wouldn't. There would have been nothing fancy about it at all. I mean, it would just been a fucking. It'd probably just be a
just some legionary's weapon.
yes, a spearhead. You know, wouldn't be anything fancy. Now, it doesn't mean that the church. If the church had actually confiscated it, they wouldn't have fucking put gold all over it.
Bedazzled it.
Bedazzled it.
I don't ever put like the Legion. I don't ever put that time period with Jesus. Like I don't ever put those two together.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, what does the Legion's history say?
Oh, I don't know.
You don't ever hear that
well,
either.
I mean, you hear from that. The only reason why we know that story is because it's actually the Romans. The Romans had a what do they call it? It wasn't the mayor of Palestine.
You know, Pontius Pilate.
Yeah, Pontius Pilate was the governor.
He was the military governor.
He was the military governor.
Now,
He
you know,
finds
what's that
he
on?
find they,
What's five?
Pontius Pilate finds the worst criminal, the worst Jewish criminal that is in prison, and he gives the head ministers the choice.
Oh yeah, something about
Pardon
By proxy.
Yeah, you can pardon one of these two, Jesus or him, and they choose the murderer to release the murderer, so Jesus will be punished. Because the reality is Jesus was very anti-church, so the church, his whole thing is the church is inside you. You don't have to pay penance. You should not have to pay these bishops money in order to be closer to God. So he was a threat. And that's why he got crucified. And that's the reason why Pontius Pilate did that was because he's like, Jesus Christ is a Jew. I gave you the opportunity to pick who you wanted to free. You kept the murderer. So I'm washing my hands of this. And that's how we know that story is because of the Romans, really.
Why do you know that?
Why do I know that? Because I'm very interested in history. I like history.
You weren't forced into church 5 years
No,
ago.
never. My grandparents were very Christian. My grandparents were very Christian. They never forced it. I was never made to go to anything.
What does Nana think about it?
I don't know what Nana. Well, Nana is doctrinally a
That's
Catholic.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, she's a Catholic. So there's a rosary
There is no Jesus.
no. They Catholics
Yeah.
believe in Jesus.
Yeah, he's got to be dead, but they believe him.
They believe in him. Yeah. I mean, hell, the Pope just came out and said that it's okay to worship Mary just as much as Jesus.
In what manner did he say it?
It's okay to worship
No, you
Mary.
have to do the thing.
Oh, he got to do the thing. I need my vestments. If I had my vestments, it would work out.
I think we really got to go ahead with that. Yeah.
What do you understand?
What?
That's the best.
Oh, Marpet.
Marpet.
Yes.
I love it. Truth be told.
And that's the truth be told. And Christianity took over the world and converted more people than all of Catholicism. Even the Roman Empire at the time, who did not believe in one autonomous God, was converted to Christianity. And the reason why all you people that run around and go, oh, it's a pagan holiday we're celebrating for Christmas, and a pagan holiday we're celebrating for Easter. The reason why is because the Roman authorities at the time wanted to bring all the pagans in under the Christianic God. And it's easier to convert people if you convince them that they're still doing something. It's kind of the same. And so the reality is, all you people who are talking about paganism doesn't exist because Christianity took over your holidays. We just co-opted them. That's it, and destroyed paganism.
Nobody likes to lose the holidays they enjoy. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus wasn't fucking born in winter, but Roman festivals, Saturnalias. A lot of eating, drinking, even a lot of the shit like Christmas trees and paper hats and shit like that. Yeah, so they're like, all right, people aren't going to want to lose this party, so we'll slap Jesus' birthday on this party. Everybody's good.
Everybody's good.
Yeah.
And eventually everybody will convert to Christianity, and it will become the dominant religious power in the world until the left destroys it, because that's the whole purpose, is to destroy it. And the interesting thing is, people only want to belong to the left, or people only want to belong to these identity politics groups. The reason why everybody wants to belong to an identity politics group is because as human beings, we need to belong to something, and the mere destruction of religion in itself is the reason why everybody is flocking to these stupid little groups all around the United States, like Antifa and fucking whatever, because people have not been raised to belong to anything. If they had church in their life, if everybody still had church in their life, yes, there's still going to be some weirdos out in the cornfield doing weird shit to animals.
That's the fun
But
part.
the most part, the country would be much better off.
Well, yeah, when you believe in nothing, you believe in anything.
And that's what the left does. They believe in anything, even if it's all bullshit.
People are so desperate to have something that seems solid, something that they can feel sure about. Feel sure about.
Anyways, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.